darkness feels alright while you were drinking your expensive coffee. Someone sleeping in the rain, and the driver of your pre-booked taxi knows exactly who's to blame.
Hi.
Where are you?
I'm in the Clubhouse. What do you mean?
You're not in the Clubhouse. Where are you?
I'm doing a very improvised outside broadcast. I've got a client meeting this morning in Canary Wharf, so I thought I'd cheekily get there early and asked if I could just get a room, which is I've done before, and it always works, especially on a Friday, because no fucker works on a Friday anymore. And they were like, oh yeah, no one's booked a room, so I can't let you in the building until I've had a call. So now I've had to come into literally a square in Canary Wharf. I've had to go to one of those wanky coffee shops, you know, where they make a flat white like they're performing heart surgery, just to legitimately sit outside on their terrace.
Yeah, no, it's a mocha choco poca toca loco choco.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
No, I'm reading psychology at King's. It's great, man.
Yeah.
Sure.
And the way they stare at the foam, like they're sort of willing it to do incredible, beautiful shapes and things like, oh, fucking, just give me the coffee so I can legitimately sit in your coffee shop here for a little while.
What's it like going to Canary Wharf, like, for work? Is that weird? What's your opinion on that? Is it nice? Do you enjoy it?
Well, it's an interesting question, actually, Jack, because a lot of companies who have historically been based here, big banks and finance houses and big law firms who I'm working with today, they're all moving. They're all getting out of Canary Wharf and they're all moving towards Moorgate and the City of London with all these other, you know, shared eco-sustainability working spaces. And they're all getting out of these old 80s built skyscrapers that are like very expensive and not very ecologically sound and don't meet their CSR policies around their corporate social responsibility. So they're all getting out of it. So this is all going to become, my prediction for the future is in 10 years' time, Canary Wharf will be 70% residential. All these offices are going to get turned into flats, I imagine, I think.
That's good, at least.
Yeah, it is good, I suppose.
Well, is it good? Because last time I was in London for quite a while, there was I was working in... Actually, was it when I was working at Wimbledon? So I had to drive across the river every morning, and I watched this skyscraper get built. Was it Embankment or Chelsea Embankment? I think it was Chelsea Embankment.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, emblazoned on the side as it's going up is like, oh, you know, affordable housing, like, you know, in a central location. And I'm like, great, brilliant, really cool, finally. And then, like, it got built, and I saw it at night, and the only lights that were on were, like, the office is blocks, which is, like, a third of the building. Then it was completely dead, no lights at all, where all the affordable housing is. And then the penthouses at the top, which are obviously lights on and all that kind of stuff. So all I can imagine is some Russian oligarch has just purchased all of these affordable residentials and then used them as essentially a glorified ISA account. It's just ridiculous.
Totally.
Ridiculous.
It's all wrong, isn't it?
Why is London becoming so expensive? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, and when they say affordable housing, what they've done is they've built 2 flats on the ground floor with barely any windows that they, you know, will sell for... I mean, I don't know who's affording that anyway, you know, that will be, I suppose, accessible if you've, like, got married, you both work in the city and you've hitched your future on some sort of terrible mortgage and you've managed to get together a quick £200,000 deposit, then that's when it's
just
affordable.
A quick
Otherwise, it's all just I just probably have a couple of quiet weekends and put that in the savings account. Mind you, I went to theatre last night.
Daddy, do you really need to buy that?
I went to theatre last night to see The Price by Arthur Miller at the Marylebone Theatre, which is near Baker Street. And so I met my mates in the Volunteer pub, which people might have been to in London. It's just right near Baker Street. It's right next to the Sherlock Holmes house. It's the pub on the corner. It's nice.
It is nice.
£8.70 for a pint of Asahi.
Ooh.
£8.70. That is peak. I don't think I've paid any more than that in a pub in recent years. You might pay that at Wembley. Have you?
I've paid more than that in a pub in London. Yeah. I mean,
really?
There was an event happening, but it was a pub. Outside the Tottenham Hotspur ground, there is a Neck Oil branded pub. I don't know if you've been, sorry, a Beavertown. Neck Oil's the beer.
Yes.
Beavertown's the brewery. And we popped in, and it was a lovely sunny day, and actually it was quite quiet in the garden, beer garden. It was like, great, we can have a few pints here before we go into the ground to watch the NFL. And they have a big screen outside. I'm like, great. And Neck Oil is my favourite go-to at the moment.
Is it?
It's a lovely drop. Yeah,
it's your
lovely
IPA
drop.
choice.
It's my IPA of choice at the moment, which is very basic, but I like it, so bugger off. And £9.50.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, so we are approaching the £10 pint, aren't we? I mean, which is...
Oh, that will happen easily.
I mean, that is just crazy. Oh, God.
Even in Birmingham, it's getting quite bad.
Is it? What's your average pint in Birmingham these days?
Well, like, suburban, fine, you're still under a £5.
Really?
There's a couple that have gone over a £5 now, which is okay. But you head into the centre of Birmingham and, like, a pint of Guinness is like, oh, there's a blue tit there. There's a shuttlecock up there. The blue tit just landed on the fence outside. That was so sweet. Yeah, you go into the centre of Birmingham and, you know, I'll have a pint of Guinness, just an innocuous pint of Guinness, please.
Yeah.
$7.20, $7.30 in some places. You know, the old joint stock where the theatre is upstairs. That was at least $7.20, I think, for a Guinness. Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad.
I was up in Leeds at a wedding, my mate Tom and Tom's wedding recently, and we went to, well, first of all, the Uber from town, like a 15-minute ride out to the wedding venue was like £7.22 or something like that, which was like amazing, you know, with three of us in the cab, and you're like, oh great, this is actually an affordable way to travel. And this was a hotel venue as well. Went to the bar, bought like 4 pints, it was like £17.23 or something. I was like, wow, this is just incredible. My average pint is £7.60 these days, I reckon, in Clapham, just in a pub.
Easy.
It's just mad.
Easy.
It's just mad. Anyway, speaking of pints and Wembley and things, which we did very briefly, I was at Wembley last weekend watching Leeds Chelsea.
You were? How was that, mate?
It's a shit game, wasn't it? Did you watch it?
Yeah, it was crap. I watched bits and pieces. I knew you were there, so I sort of dipped in and out, but it was... if I'm really honest, it was two very poor football teams playing football.
It was two poor performances, but I felt like, you know, it's a bit of a cliche.
Semantics.
It was a great day out. It was a lovely day out, and the Leeds fans really enjoyed their day out. And the atmosphere around the stadium, in the stadium, was great pre-game. And the Leeds fans, oh my God, because, you know, obviously it's a rare thing to get to Wembley and it's a rare thing to be in semi-finals these days. And so they really were up for the day. And they were amazing. Like, so loud in the stadium. It was incredible. Yeah. And all the Chelsea balls were stood at the other end, you know, not even selling their seats. Totally unable to compete, but... alas, great day out. But what I wanted to ask you about it was, and this is slightly connected with going to see The Price last night, which stars Henry Goodman, who is an actor. And so I want to ask you about...
As opposed to a florist.
Yes, I'm unaware if he's a florist, but I was thinking of, when I left Wembley, my massive frustration watching the game was the gamesmanship of the Chelsea players was next level. You know, like, I think Simon Ricks, the Kaiser Chief bassist who does the Don't Go to Bed Yet Leeds podcast, described one of them as getting electrocuted, you know, when he was touched. The games, the diving, and Enzo Fernandez, horrible man. Garnacho, horrible man. Pedro, horrible man. I mean, they were just awful. And you could see, it's no surprise that Rossini, you know, they're just down tools. A set of horrible human beings, it felt like, the Chelsea team. And you can call it gamesmanship and naive and professionalism and all the rest of it. And, you know, Leeds don't really have that in them. They're all quite a nice set of lads just trying to stay up. But they were a horrible bunch of people. And you sometimes get it in theatre companies, don't you, where an actor has a rep of being a bit of a dick.
Yes.
Are you that person? That was my question.
No.
I was thinking,
I've never been, I don't think. No.
Does it make a difference? Is that part of being a star person or part of being an ego or part of being a star player that you've got to have a bit of side to you? Or can you just be nice and successful?
Oof. I mean, that's a loaded... there is something to be said about, you know, that sort of... well, let's talk about athletes first, in terms of, like, that there is a mentality in top elite athletes that you do have to have a bit of a dick in you, if for want of a better phrase.
I like that kind of athlete.
I mean, yeah. So, like, I'm sure... So, like, but I don't think doesn't need to be at the cost of being just kind and nice. I mean, I've always been taught, like, you know, treat people how you want to be treated as much as you can.
Yes.
In the moment, and regulate emotions properly and all that kind of stuff. But there is that competitive edge, I think, is what we're talking about, especially with elite athletes. I do find this, and I have this a little bit working at the Albion. Like, you see the first team and, you know, the 21s and stuff, they are made differently. They have something in them that is so okay with that level of discipline and that level of repetition, and that level of stamina and that level of focus and all that kind of stuff. Whether or not that can bleed into, I don't know, lowered faculty for decent social skills, I'm not sure, but like, it's laudable, you know. It's a laudable trait to have, obviously, if you're going to be an athlete, and actors need that sometimes as well. I think maybe less so a little bit, but yeah, they have that sort of blinkered view of, you know, this is what I'm doing, a sort of robotic repetition and discipline and all that kind of stuff. Can that bleed into, you know, being a dick to the support staff at your football team? Can that bleed into being a dick to your runner on a TV set or your ASM on stage and stuff? Possibly, I don't know. I mean, coming back to like Chelsea and like rolling around and the theatrical nature of it all, I mean, you're talking about a wider problem, man. Football is dying. I'm telling you, football is dying. It's just not the same as it was, man. And I don't know if that's because I'm getting a bit older, but like, Leeds are a prime example. Their fan base are a prime example of a massive football club from a really big city, a fantastic city. They love their football club in and out. Traditional, proper football club, in my opinion. And then you look at Chelsea and you're just like, where is the connection with the fans? Where is the connection with the community? It's like, it's not... These stadiums should be churches that we all plunder to and amble towards and plod along every Saturday, and we go. You look at Chelsea. Don't get me started on Man City. I hate Man City with a passion. And everyone who's been a fan of Man City since they were a kid, I hope they look back in 20 years' time, 30 years' time, and go, do you know what? It was better when we were playing Charlton Athletic in the second division, because it's just soulless, money-grabbing corruption at its highest level, and Chelsea are a part of that. And, you know, the best thing from that semi-final at Wembley that you went to, I mean, the game was an awful football match, but the contradiction between watching the Leeds fans and the support that they gave and then looking at Chelsea, it was exactly the same for Southampton versus Man City. Man City didn't give a shit. Nobody they didn't sell out. I mean, I know they go there a lot. I understand that everything's more expensive now, and I get that. But Man City fans should be fuming that they have to pay that amount of money to go and see that. You know, the diehards that have been there since day one. Yeah. But Southampton, Leeds fans, they were amazing. And it's just a dying of a death. In terms of the fact, and I think the theatricality of the players adds to that. This sort of like, and the style of football. Yeah. Like Pep Guardiola, I get it, you're a genius, but you have killed football. It's horrible. And here's another example. PSG versus Bayern in the week. God. Did you watch that semi-final of the Champions League? Oh, my God. What a game of football.
Yeah, that was talent winning, wasn't it? You know, open, expressive. Yeah. People say, like, oh, what about the defence? The defences were fine. It was just extraordinary attacking skill.
Yeah.
And what
I totally agree. And, like, you could tell it was one of those games. Oh, yeah.
What a great guy.
I love Vincent Kompany.
I love him.
But, like, Alan Shearer and the commentators and the pundits were just like, I don't want to leave the ground. Yeah. I don't want this game to finish. And we're sitting there watching like, this is proper football. This is what it. And I remember watching it and look, like the talent's completely different. It's like watching a championship game in the mid-90s or the early 2000s, and it's 7-6, and it's Rotherham versus Preston, and nobody gives a shit. Two sets of fans just going, just let's play football. There was none of this rotating the ball from wing to wing, trying to poke and pray and waiting for it. It was just, let's go for it. Yeah. And both teams were amazing. Harry Kane was brilliant. I just love watching that game, and that's what football should be all about, man. And it's not that anymore. It's not.
Yeah, and I think it's also just about the nature of a competitive league as well. Like, I mean, you could argue that, I mean, the Championship is this every year, like, you know, that it's so competitive. You know, you can put a few games together and go from 14th to the playoffs. The Premier League has been like that this year. It's been really good. Like, beyond the top 2 or 3, that whole chunk in the middle is really good standard. There's been some great games. But, you know, this is what sport is, and, you know, you referred to NFL briefly earlier, and I know you watch a lot of it, but because of the draft system, you know, you do get a rotation. It's rare to get those dominant teams, which means when people do get to the latter stages of whatever tournament it is, the league or the cup, the playoff systems, is that it is special, and that is part of sport. But
Yeah.
Man City, Chelsea in the final. Oh, great. You know, like, and you can see it in their fans as well. They're like, oh, fucking hell, again, like London again. Fucking hell, the train's too much. You know, there's no excitement or thrill about it, and therefore it undermines the whole thing. But when you get, which is why, obviously, Palace last year was fantastic. The Carabao Cup with Newcastle, all those things are fantastic when people get up there. And it's great. Coventry, I don't know how you feel as a Midland, but Coventry back in, winning the league, apart from the fact it's fucking Frank Lampard. But apart from that, you know, it's great to see another club having their chance. And that is what great sport is. It is a churn, a rotation. And in fairness, you look at Arsenal, if they win the league, if they can get out, they probably won't. What is it, 10 years, 10, 15 years or something like that? Even longer since they won. Yeah. That is great. You know, that is good. That's what it means to be a fan, is that it's going to come round rarely. You know, like scarcity is a really important part of sport, both in terms of what's available. Look, we talked about this before, but cricket, too fucking much of it. I don't know it's so many formats, so many teams, so many franchises. I can't get involved in it because scarcity is no longer a factor. It's just oversupply. And so, you know, it's just one of the few laws of economics I could probably get on board with, which is diminishing returns over time. You know, oversupply, you just get a little bit bored of it. If you eat 10 Mars bars a day, there's no fun in having a Mars bar.
Well, that's what I mean. I think we're actually talking about a bigger problem. Like, are we seeing the death of capitalism in sport form? Do you know what I mean? It's just so, like, there's nothing egalitarian about it. There's nothing collegiate about it. There's nothing... And look, it's a competitive business. Sport, by its nature, full stop, fundamentally, is competitive. I completely understand that. But, like...
It's the business of sport now, isn't it?
What's the point of it being competitive if it's just a business? And it's just like, OK, I'm going to throw £4.5 billion at this football club and I'm going to turn it into a money-making scheme. It's nothing. Man City fans should be ashamed. They should be ashamed. What they're doing... And look, West Bromwich Albion got a 2-point deduction a couple of weeks ago for miscalculating or miscategorising. That's what miscategorising.
I love her.
Contributions to their charitable arm of the football club, right?
Yeah.
So it was put as something different. It was like, oh yeah, this is charitable. It was actually not. It's to do with the running of the football club. We got a 2-point deduction. If Man City are dealt with the same sort of stuff, they would lose at least 160 points under the same guidelines. Yeah. And they won't get it. They will not get it. And there's people sitting there going, oh, you know, look, I hate social media. I'm too old for social media now. We both are. We've missed that train now. It's just a horrible place to be. But like,
do become our 298th follower though on stage show.
Yeah, no, do it.
It'd be really good.
That's the dichotomy
300
of
guys.
social media. It's a nightmare. I hate it. Yeah, I hate it. But, you know, love us at the same time. It's a nightmare. Anyway, but like the whole culture about Arsenal is like, we don't want Arsenal to win it. We don't want Arsenal to win it. Oh, they're second again. They're bottoming again. Look, I'm not saying that they're probably not been corrupt and they're run by businessmen. I completely understand it. But they're not going to be docked 160 points because some oil baron bought the football club and threw stupid amounts of money at the place. Yeah. And basically turn it into a cheat. And I want Arsenal to win the league massively. I wanted Coventry to go up massively. I mean, their owner seems like an absolute legend. Well, I don't know him, but he's done some stuff in the media that's really great and goes against that sort of capitalist structure that is football now. And we're just a commodity now. And that's why, like, when there's brief shining moments of Leeds and Southampton fans at Wembley going,
could you imagine if that had been the FA Cup final? Which is, I mean, and this is kind of the point, is that football is sort of surviving despite itself, because the dice are so heavily loaded in front of, for all the reasons you've already just described. Yet, still, why it survives and is why it's still so popular is just 2 chances in the Leeds game we would have won it if we'd have just buried them. We had the chances, created them. Similarly, Southampton could have won that game very easily. So we could have been looking at a Leeds-Southampton final. And that is why football is still surviving, because it still can ultimately come down to 11 human beings on their day, bringing it all together. But the dice are so heavily loaded.
It is that carrot that's dangled.
Yeah. So, I mean, you must be relieved West Brom have stayed up at least. I mean, what a turnaround. I mean, they were heading down, weren't they? I mean, it's been amazing, really, the last month or so.
I mean, I was so, like, we're going, like, this is the end. But the downfall of Leicester really helped us, obviously, and all that kind of stuff, and the atmosphere around that club. But, I mean, which is sad to see, obviously. Or is it? Do I like Leicester? I'm not really sure. I mean, obviously, everyone loves the idea. You meant to say that, but yeah. Do I like Leicester? I'm not sure. But, no, West Brom have been sort of, Jimmy Morrison's come in and steadied the ship. I mean, look, I'm not under any illusion that West Brom aren't going to be a mid-table championship team for the next 3 or 4 years. Although, you know, what's slightly exciting is that the playoffs have been extended in the championship for next season.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
So it goes down to 8.
Oh, right. So they're going to do... So
they've added in
third and fourth will get a preferential route, and the other 4 will play off. Well, they're like 5 to 8 will firstly play off in a preliminary round or something.
So third and fourth go straight through to the semis, and then 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th play like a quarter-final. I think it's all one leg.
I mean, that's great for excitement, but a team finishing 8th going up feels a bit wrong, but because that could happen.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, but I mean, it's nice at the Albion, but I'm still sort of like disillusioned.
Yeah, interesting. They do the same in the Rugby League, and it has made it quite exciting. Oh yeah, so well, and another year.
And in terms of your point about like theatre people, just don't be a dick at work.
Yeah,
is that important? That's really important.
Well, yeah,
you know what I mean.
I think I was chatting to my friend who was in the show last night, and I was saying, you know, Henry Goodman's got a bit of a rep. You know, was that your experience? And he said, no, it really wasn't. I think he's been great. We've got on really well. I think he's probably gone on a journey. He's an older man. He might have matured a little bit. I think that rep might have come from a period of days when maybe, you know, because I've got another friend who worked with him in a show at the RSC, and, you know, he was telling stories about when he got sacked from producers on Broadway. You know, and there is a cultural thing in America of sacking actors as part of the run. Almost someone always gets sacked in some Broadway run, so it's not uncommon. But from a British theatre perspective, to get sacked throughout a rehearsal process, you know, on preview night is unheard of. Not just because it's profoundly unsettling for everybody else in the company, but it's just culturally not part of it. Whereas in America and Broadway, they've got a different culture to that. But I feel like, you know, the discussion we had, which is why I thought it was an interesting one to put to you, is about sometimes it's just about people's like relationship to their process and their professionalism, and they're not prepared to compromise on things, and they're defending their choices and their integrity, and they want to do the best possible job, which is, I think, what maybe a lot of elite sports people do as well, is like, I'm not prepared to compromise me and my talent, and if that makes me a dick in the eyes of other people, so be it. You know, this is what it means to be elite. Whereas my character is certainly one where I have a strong professional pride, but my kind of value system and my need to be liked and my need to create a nice environment supersedes all of that in a way. I would make a compromise for fear of upsetting people or worrying people, and maybe that's why I'm not elite at anything in my life.
Well, that is something. I mean, I'm quite similar in terms of like, oh, you know, if you think that's best, then yes, I'll do it for the rest of the for the sake of the rest of the company. You know, that's very much like that. I think there are points in my career where I've been like, I ain't doing that. I'm really sorry.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't bill it in a way of like, I'm not doing that because of X, Y, Z, and you're blah 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 blah, and I'm suffering because of it. I just be like, oh, I don't really feel comfortable doing this, but. That's a conversation, and it becomes collaborative, which is obviously easier than going, I ain't fucking doing this, fuck you. But, I mean, I think there's something to be said about when you are... Well, you know, I've led a couple of shows, but, like, I was quite young, so it's kind of a bit... If I led a show now on stage, I don't know if I'd be any different and stuff, but it's very... Obviously, rehearsal periods and being an actor, full stop, is it's a very vulnerable state to be in, and when people are vulnerable, they sort of lean back on their routines and they lean back on their defaults, and if those defaults aren't being sort of, you know, given attention to, that's when sort of shit can go wrong. I mean, look, I just I shot a massive film just before Christmas, just after Christmas, and like there's some Hollywood like A-listers on it, and we're on set together. Were any of them evil, horrible, dickish? No, there were collegiate, ensemble making, nice, kind, and you look at them and you're like, that's probably a reason why you're working. On top of the fact that they're, you know, very good actors in my opinion. So, you know, it swings around. But I think you look at sort of like maybe a couple of generations ago, it might be a little bit different. But thankfully, parts of our industry are becoming a little bit more equitable in terms of stature and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I say that. I mean, it's not a good example at the moment, but. Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe that's true. Just be nice to people. How hard is it to be nice to people? And if you don't want to be nice to people, just shut the fuck up.
But I think the point that you made, and we've done an episode historically about pressure and where it can send you, and I think maybe we're not as empathetic to elite sports people when they are on a pitch at Wembley in front of 84,000 people and millions on the telly. That is a high pressure situation. And of course, it's going to bring out the best in some people. It's going to bring out the worst in some people. That's the human condition in relationship to pressure. And maybe we should have a bit more empathy towards that. It's when it feels gamed, premeditated, that's when, I don't know, it just sits uneasy with me. And I think you're right, someone like, I don't know, Matthew Kelly, who, I've worked with a couple of times, who is such a lovely person and leads a company with empathy and warmth and sets a tone. There's no need for ego in that situation, and it filters through to everybody. And so we do all have a choice. But again, a lot of these footballers are young men. They're arrogant, they're rich, they haven't been challenged around that sort of stuff. And it's not to say that they're fundamentally broken people. They just perhaps haven't really had someone call them out on it or been role modelled a different way of doing things.
But here's a question for you. Would you want to be a professional footballer? Would you genuinely want to be a professional
footballer?
Being
an elite sports person would be great. I'm not a football person. I'm a sort of all sports person. I'm a rugby person at heart. And I find football culture the worst of all sports cultures of all sports in the world. I mean, it's horrible. Yeah. And yet it's compelling. Being
at the Albion and seeing peeking behind the curtain ever so slightly, my heart goes out to all of those young boys. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, well, you see it firsthand.
I have so much admiration before them, and they are pushed and they are pulled, and they are. I mean, I'd say the same about being a bloody actor at the moment, to be fair, but to be an elite sportsman, your life isn't your own. You have to make decisions behind closed doors, in front, and you're a kid.
Really young.
You're a kid at 16 years old. Sorry, we don't want you anymore. Okay, well, I'll keep going. And it's like they don't have the skills, and the aftercare system isn't there. Like, I would suggest it probably is a little bit more in terms of the creative industries, but it's hard. And the travel and
the sacrifice,
everything. Oh no, I'm very impressed by them.
Can we get your head of academy on? We've talked about this. I'd really love to have that chat.
I would love to have Tom on, actually. So the head of recruitment at
be a really academy. Interesting insight.
He's a really top bloke and a really and it would be really interesting. And he,
I need to go play my part in the capitalist structure, so I'm sorry to truncate our lovely chat. I've just got to go. I've got to, I've got to go get the wheels of business turning here.
Last question: how are you? How's your industry going? Any auditions, any jobs?
Had to do a self-tape the other day for an advert for an undisclosed streaming channel. It was a classic old-school advert self-tape where I had to film myself in my own home doing extraordinarily stupid things. But do you know what? I went in, I went big and bold, and I was like, I'm going to make some choices here, and I will go big here and let you make a call on whether it's what you want or not. So that's in deadline 11 o'clock today. We'll see if anything comes of that next week. It's a very lucrative advert, so it'd be great to get it, but the odds of it are so remote. Yeah. When that NDA is passed, I shall tell you more about it. It's absolutely hilarious. I might even share clips of it when the NDA is passed. My housemate was like, "What are you doing?" Quite extraordinary. Are you all right?
What the fuck? Fine. Got down to the last two for a regular on a nice BBC series, and they obviously went the other way.
Buggeration.
So I'm struggling a little bit with that. I know, it's a bit annoying, but, it's nice to kind of be travelling down to London for final recalls and stuff.
Yeah, I saw you in London and you didn't reach out, so I hope you had a nice time.
Sorry, and you are? Who are you? I don't know who you are.
Right, I've got to go. Love you. Catch up soon.
Enjoy.
See you later. Thanks.
Speak to you soon, man. Bye-bye.